Title belts to Hall of Fame. Doug and Tommy carved the name. Fists of fury and hearts of gold. Every story, every fight retold. Tales of glory, laughter, cry. Tennessee warriors with hearts open wide. In the ring or on the air, legends living without a care. On the mic they roar, on the mat they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans wanting more. Podcast kings ruling the waves. Memphis wrestling raising the stage.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 24 of Dangerous Conversations with Dangerous Doug Gilbert and Tommy Wildfire Rich. Guys, we are back once again, and the fans of the show have been sending in questions, and it's time to answer them. You guys fired up to answer some questions?
What's up? Yes, sir. You know I am, Gene. Doug, Doug always got an answer. So, yeah, we're ready for some Q&A. I'm glad everybody's sending the questions in and looking forward to it. Y'all doing all right tonight?
Oh, yeah, man. I'm doing really good. Hey, Gene, you doing good, man?
I am. I'm doing well. We had us a snow day on Friday, got out of work and got to hang out Friday, but then it cleared. I was telling Tommy it cleared out by midday Saturday, so it didn't mess up the whole weekend. So you can't beat that, man. You get you a snow day, and then it moves on out, and you can get out of the house and do what you need to do. You can't beat that.
You ain't kidding. It was really cool, Gene. Here we got about 6.5 inches. Tommy probably walking about 6.5 inches of sand down there by him.
Yeah. That's close. I'll get the snow here. You ain't lying.
Yeah, he was able to cruise on up to Charlotte and do a signing up there, so that was cool.
Well, that's what my wife was looking at some different things that you put on our show and everything, and she told me the other day, she said, I thought you said Tommy said he wasn't staying real busy. She said, I'm looking at what Gene puts on there. He's staying real busy. I said, Tommy's hungry. I said, he's out there working.
They're making it happen.
Gotta work.
There you go.
Speaking of making it happen, you guys are going to be making it happen. February 1st, Win, Arkansas, the Memphis Mafia Tour 2025 will be coming right there to Win, Arkansas. And man, they've been announcing some other big names coming there. You guys are going to be in good company there and Win. You guys looking forward to that one?
Oh, yeah, I really am. I mean, I think Tommy is too. I think it'll be a good night. There'll be some great guys there. We're going to see a lot of great guys. We don't see that often. And, man, I think it'll be I was trying to tell Tommy last time I was in Win, I think it was like the early 2000s. So it's been a good while since I've been in Win. And, I mean, Win used to be a town like during the USWA days. We'd go there 2 or 3 times a year or something and always do real good. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to going back to Win.
Yes, sir. Arkansas, man. Looking forward to going. Big shout out to all the fans in the area, man, and everybody tuning in here tonight. It's just good to talk to y'all and looking forward to being on the first and got some more stuff coming up too.
That's right. We're going to talk about a little bit. I don't know that I've ever been to Win, Arkansas, but I do remember watching USWA TV over the years, hearing Quarterback, we're going to be in Win, Arkansas down there, so that name rings a bell with me. When I heard y'all are going there, I'm like, hey, that's a regular stop there somewhat for USWA. Speaking of regular stops for USWA, March the 1st, Jackson, Tennessee, going to be at the big Jackson Comic Con there. That should be a lot of fun. There's always a big crowd there each year, so.
Oh man, that should be really cool, Gene. I hadn't been there in 3 or 4 years actually to the Comic Con deal and everything, but it'd be really cool for me and Tommy to be there. It'd be the first time we've been there together and everything, and man, I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. I love the heroes. I love everybody dressing up. It's a cool day. I mean, it's great to see the fans, but it's great to see all the other characters too, man. It's gonna be cool, especially me and Doug gonna be there together. So I'm excited about that my damn self.
Absolutely. A lot of good people watching to be had at those Comic Cons. People get really creative with those costumes, so that'll be fun. March the 14th and 15th, Tommy, you're going to be doing some events up in New York. I know you're going to be at the big event like on the 15th, and then you got something going on the 14th, which we've got it on the Facebook page. You can check that out if you want all the details for that. March the 14th. Also, Doug, you are going to be in Henderson. You got a big event happening there, right?
Sure do. In Henderson's for the Carl Perkins, all the proceeds, everything that comes in the door goes to the Carl Perkins Child Abuse Center. And that's a big deal around here. I mean, it's for child abuse. And like I said, whether you know or not, Gene, Carl Perkins was a huge country music. Like he was one of the guys before Elvis and all that, but he's got his own nonprofit here, and like I said, it's Carl Perkins Child Abuse. All the money, every ticket, every dollar that enters the building goes to that fund. So that's really a cool deal that we do, like in every county in West Tennessee and everything. So it's really cool. And I've done from the first one to this will be not the last one that ever happens, but the last one for the year. And they do one every year, and it's in March, and it's really a good deal, and it's for a good cause.
That's awesome. It's always fun to do these things, but when you can, you're helping out, it's for good cause like that. It makes it all the better.
And it's also cool, Jim. Didn't mean to interrupt, but I get to see a lot of guys there. Like Tommy's going to be busy that weekend up north, but Jerry Lawler will be there, and there's different guys that I don't see a whole lot anymore. But I get to see a lot of them at the show in Henderson. That's really cool. Like me and Tommy was talking about seeing the people in Wynn, Arkansas, that we don't get to see the fans. We love to see the fans, but then you also get to see some guys that we don't see very often as far as the wrestlers and everything. That's really a cool deal.
Absolutely. Another cool deal. Go ahead.
Two worlds, man. You get to see the fans, and get to see some of the guys, and that we run the roads with, man. Them are really cool weekends.
Absolutely. Well, coming up, going to be going to Las Vegas the 18th, 19th, and 20th of April. I think it's WrestleMania weekend, but Game Changer Wrestling going to be in Vegas, and the Memphis Mafia are going to be a part of it. I know you guys always have a good time working for Mr. Lauderdale out there. There's no telling what he's going to have you guys into out in Vegas.
Oh, man, that'd be really cool. I got to get back with Brett, but actually, we always have a good time when we go to work for Game Changer Wrestling. And, I mean, it's cool. All the guys there are really cool to us, and, I mean, I like all the guys there. They're really neat, and it's a cool promotion. Just, I mean, if anybody hadn't been around it or whatever, it's really neat. And it's got the good thing I like about it, it's got a little something for everybody.
Absolutely. Whatever you're into wrestling wise, they cover all the bases. I mean, you got down and dirty wrestling, but then you got your high flying, you got death matches. I mean, they've got it all. So that should be a lot of fun.
Shit, we get to go to Vegas. Yeah, it's going to be a great weekend. Excited. Man, got some good stuff going on, too. I'm excited about that one, too, man.
Sure do. And then, of course, coming up in May, you got the big one, May 3rd in Philadelphia, the TWA One and Done event. And that's going to be another opportunity to meet with the fans. But then also that night, there's going to be the big show. You guys are going to be teaming up against the franchise Shane Douglas and his mystery partner, Team Extreme, right there at the old ECW Arena. So, man, that should be a lot of fun too, man. So y'all got some really cool stuff coming up in 2025. And, it's just now, we're not even halfway through the month of January, and you guys have all this lined up. So if you are a promoter, if you want to get the Memphis Mafia on your event, whatever that event may be, whether it's a wrestling event or just a signing or, meet and greet or whatever it is, like Tommy says, if you just want to come have these guys come party with you, reach out. We can make that happen. But, things are starting to, things are getting booked. So don't waste any time. Go ahead, get them requests in there, and I'll get you in touch with these guys, and we'll be reading your event out here on the show very soon. It's Doug Gilbert Podcast at Outlook.com, or you can reach us through the Facebook page, Facebook.com/Doug Gilbert Podcast.
You sure can, Gene. And like we always say, rate, review, and subscribe, whatever platform you're listening on. And if you want some T-shirts with Tommy Rich and Doug Gilbert on there, Pro Wrestling Tees, Gilbert Family, Memphis Mafia shirts, We got all that. Gene, your store, you've got all that lined up. Anything you want, Tommy, I think we've got lined up for everybody. And like Gene said, whether it's a party, whether it's a signing, whether it's a Comic-Con, whether it's whatever you need, if we aren't booked, we'll come, right, Tommy?
Yes, sir. Hey, yeah, looking forward to all of it, man. We on the road again, as Willie Nelson sang it. Yeah, looking forward to it.
That's right. You guys saw that video back around Christmas. It's not too early. Go ahead and get that book to have Wildfire Claws to come to your event, and
There you go.
we'll get him out there to celebrate Christmas the right way. We might even have Nightmare Claws out there.
There you go.
There you go.
We got you covered, whatever you need. But folks, you guys have sent in some great questions, and I'm going to ask Doug and Tommy right now some of these questions. And remember, if you want your question asked here on the show, feel free to either post it on the Facebook page, or the best way to get it to us is through the email, douggilbertpodcast@outlook.com. Send those questions in. And right now, we're going to lead off with the first one. Doug, this one's for you. And honestly, this is one that kind of fell through the cracks. We actually, I mentioned this one on a show that me and you recorded a long while back, but then we had an audio issue and we weren't able to use that show. And I realized that this question got lost along the way. So I'm going to ask it now. Fan of the show, Stanhausen, asked via email, he would like to hear your memories of your match with Mance Warner in Tullahoma at the W.O.M.B.A.T show, if you remember that one, Doug.
Man, yeah, I remember it. It was, I think actually that was a show. I was on it, and I think Tommy was on the next show after that for them there. And, man, Mance is a really cool dude. I'm a big fan of Mance, and his, at that point it was his partner, which made him wrestle a single match that night. But his partner, the Cowboy, what do we call him, Gene? Cowboy Landers, is that it? Or
Manders, I think it is.
Yeah. But anyway, I like both of them guys. They're really cool. But I worked with him, and it was really cool. And we wound up doing something. He wanted to do some, I mean, I don't want to say Tennessee stuff, but it was like he wanted to do it wrestling, but kind of hardcore, but like what we would call hardcore in Tennessee and everything. We wound up putting some tables. He asked me what I wanted to do, and we wound up throwing some tables in the ring and chairs, and we just did it was nothing that sure hurt him or hurt me or anything, but it's what the people would have used to call hardcore without hurting yourself or killing yourself. And the people really got with it. And they got in the match, and I thought it was real good. And he's a great worker. And I think they made him, and Bretton made him like their champ. I think the world champ and everything. And he's just a good, down to earth dude. Every time me and Tommy come in, we sit over in the corner kind of and talk with him and everything. He's just, like I said, he's good people. He's good people. He's a good worker. I like as far as his gimmick, his character and everything. He's just a good dude. And I really loved the match. I thought it was good. And I've seen clips. People have got it, I know, because I've seen different people would send me different clips of it at times. But I thought it was cool, cool deal, and it was cool working with him.
Yeah, I really like Mance, and he's a guy who I think, had he been born years earlier, could have drawn a lot of money in the Memphis area with you guys. I think he could have been right in the middle of the USWA and even the 80s Memphis era. He's right up that alley.
Yeah, and that his logic and thinking is right there about that time, and that's what I like so much. And what's really cool about him, he really respects the business. Him and his partner did too, and they still do and everything. But like I said, all that whole bunch is so respectful and nice and everything to me and Tommy when we go around them and everything. It's just a really cool vibe and atmosphere. And Brett's really cool, and all the people that he's got around him, they've always been really cool to all of us.
So, Tommy, this question's for you. Dave Dynasty, who has a podcast here on the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. I think you've actually done his show maybe a few years ago. I think I've heard it before. But Dave asked, Tommy, what are your memories of working for Jerry Graham Jr. in the WWA Bruiser Bedlam promotion back around 1989-90, somewhere in that range? Indianapolis.
Uh-oh.
Indianapolis. Shoot, I didn't work there but a few times.
Yeah.
Who do you work with, Gene?
See, I don't know. I wasn't aware Tommy had worked there, but Dave is like the Indianapolis guy. He's like the authority on Indianapolis wrestling.
I remember doing his show, but Dave, I'm not sure. You might have to enlighten us a little bit on that.
We'll dig a little deeper and come back to that in another episode. I'll find some matches. We may throw them up on the Facebook page.
And what year would that have been, Gene?
He says it would have been around 89 or 90. So it wouldn't have been a lot of shots. So, working WCW pretty regular in that era.
Well, that's what I was fixing to say. Tommy was in WCW all of 89 and part of 90 too, right?
Yeah, most of 90.
That's what I was thinking. I'm not sure. Hey, Dave, you might have the answer. Give us a little more info. I'd like to find this out myself.
We'll follow up with Dave on that. I'm sure he's probably got match results in the whole 9 yards, and we'll jar if it's in there. We'll jar it loose. We'll get it out of you, Tommy. So this question's for both of you guys. Jackie Flores asks, do you guys have a go-to favorite place to eat when you're on the road?
Well, I like a ball. I remember Eddie, anytime we went up north, he loved Bob Evans. We'd always pass the Bob Evans. And, and I had never ate the Bob Evans to Eddie. When we went up north, that's where he always wanted. Never went by Bob Evans. I mean, me, I like about it. Anywhere that serves a beer used to. So, I'm pretty easy.
Well, Eddie's thing, Tommy said anywhere up north. Well, see, up north, the down south, the Cracker Barrel is what we would all say it might be to go to sometimes. Well, up north, the Northerners, we would say Cracker Barrel would be Bob Evans, the closest thing as far as what we would say, to Cracker Barrel down here up there would be Bob Evans. But man, there's so many. I mean, me and Tommy went to a bunch of Mexican places as far as different places that we like to just go in and kick back and relax. And then, I mean, there's just so many. Like Tommy said, if he wanted to have a drink, we'd find something good that may have a bar in it that would get something good to eat and everything. But but I would say it wasn't that tough as long as they had something. As long as the good thing about when we'd go to town, if we just asked somebody, hey man, what's good here to eat or something, and we'd go there. But I mean, we wasn't far from anything Mexican to as far as the Chinese to steakhouses. We wasn't that picky.
And we come across some good country restaurants too, Yeah,
we sure did. That's what I was telling Tommy the other day. I was asking the name of this restaurant in Nashville that his mom and her friends used to go to, and Tommy carried me to it, but it was like all country cooking, all vegetables and cornbread and like one or two meats to choose from. But I mean, you'd always leave there and be stuffed. And me and Tommy was talking about that the other day. But man, there's so many good places that we've went and that we've met good people at and always went back to.
So Roger Wilson, man, I can't talk tonight. Roger Wilkins asked for Doug and Tommy. Any of these questions, even if they address it to one of you, if you have anything to add or you'd like to say, by all means, please join in. But Roger asked, Doug, can you tell us about your experience being brought in as one of the Memphis Legends for AEW Dynamite a few years back?
Oh yeah, that was cool. They called. They was coming to South Haven. Wasn't that what it was, Gene?
Yeah.
It was coming to South Haven, and they'd called, and which I talked to them a few times before that, and they asked me if I'd be interested, and it was a good deal. I mean, all the guys, they was all real nice and cool and everything. It wound up being myself, Ricky and Robert, Austin Idol, Lanny Poffo, who am I leaving out here? Leaving somebody out there.
It seems like maybe there's one more, but I don't know. I'm blanking.
Well, Shane Russell, Lance's son.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Shane was there, and And Kevin Lawler was there actually, and everything. But it was really cool. It was they was really nice. I mean, I knew most of the guys, but who I hadn't met, I met that night, and they was real cool and nice and everything. It was just a cool, like I said, it was a cool night. They had a good house and everything when they brought all of us guys out, the people was real responsive and everything. It was really neat.
So, Tommy, another one of our friends here at WrestleCopia, or two of our friends here at WrestleCopia, I should say, Ray Russell and Steve Crawford, have just recently started a new podcast project where they're covering the War for Memphis in 1977 between Nick Gulas and Jerry Jarrett, and they're gonna get in depth and kind of cover that week by week. And you being someone who was there and worked for both, they wanted me to ask you, what do you really remember about that time? You know, where Jerry Jarrett was starting up, and you know when you made the move over to work for Jerry away from Gulas, and they were saying that, you know, were you aware that like in their programs, that Slamagram program that they put out back then, that they had kind of got some rough shots in on you in that Slamagram, like maybe not outwardly like knocking you, but knocking you in that. Was you ever even aware of that, or was that something you'd even care about? And how was it going from one to the other, I guess is a long-winded way to say that.
I don't but it's why Jarrett broke me into business. The reason I went to work with Nick was because Jarrett didn't want me to work in Memphis. You know, my first thing was he wanted not to be in the Memphis because I wouldn't be no good. So that's what I've always worked with Jarrett. You might say I might have been a Jethro Bodine, a spy or something. No, I don't know, but I never did really work for Nick.
Hey,
Jarrett broke me into business, and he sent me and Tojo over there to do an angle. Now Tojo might have stayed for a little bit.
Yeah, I think Tojo did, but Gene, who was supposed to have knocked Tommy?
Tojo said something in there like, and I mean, the way they presented it was like, you got buried, and it's like Tojo said something about Tommy's a great wrestler, but he doesn't always take advice, which I'm sure that was probably like Tojo saying, hey, don't go work for this competition. And then you went, and now he's in there saying, you know, like, yeah, he's not listening to my advice. But it wasn't like he's like, Tommy's a piece of shit, you know, nothing like that, you know.
Well, yeah, but now you got to look, Gene, and this is right, Tommy. The two of the main guys didn't go to work for Jarrett, which what I'm saying, two of the main guys, Tojo and Jackie Fargo, they stayed with me. Now, like I said before, my dad, Eddie Marlin, Lawler. I'm trying to remember the 5 guys that Jerry Jarrett always told me that meant so much to him because they was the 5 that went with him.
Sam Bass too.
And Sam Bass and maybe Lance would have, for some reason, maybe Lance would have been the 5th one, or if it would have been, I would say because Lance did go with him, right? But there was 5 guys that Jerry Jarrett always told me, and he said, man, your dad, Doug, I always think the world of your dad when Jerry come to my dad's funeral and everything. But there was 5 guys, and he said, man, you don't know how much I care for your dad and everything. But I mean, like I said, see, everybody thought Fargo would go and Tojo would go, but they didn't think Jerry would make it. Right. And they wanted to have a job when it was all over. Right, Tommy? Ain't I telling this right? And they wanted to make sure, they was afraid Jerry would make it, and they was afraid if they went with him, then Nick wouldn't ever take him back and they wouldn't have a job. But, I mean, the cool thing was that Jackie wound up getting in with them after all, and Tojo did too after Nick, finally left and everything and all. But I mean, that's the deal. Like, I wasn't sure who you was talking about was knocking Tommy. That's what I was going to say. Who would have been knocking Tommy out?
I don't know who else did, but that was the one. When I went looking and investigating it myself, that's all I really found was just that. So.
Because I mean, Tommy was just a kid then.
Yeah,
I seen maybe somebody.
I didn't know nothing. I mean, I knew they split, and that's about all I knew about it. Yeah.
I was fixing to say I might see some years later somebody knocking Tommy for something, but I couldn't see somebody knocking him as a kid for nothing.
I didn't figure Tommy was getting a hold of the programs from from Nashville. What was being said about him back in the 70s.
Dude, I wish I had all them old programs now, though.
You ain't kidding. So next up, Tim Ostrander, friend of the show, who is one of the great listeners of the show, asked, and this is so he says his question's for both of you guys, and he wants to know, and this may take a little thought here. There's two different questions here. It's all-time favorite match that you guys had together as a tag team and why. And then after that, it's going to be your all-time favorite match you guys had against each other as opponents and why. But first up, favorite match together as a tag team.
Shoot, I would have to say some of the ones we had with Pete. I mean, because they just was real. All the matches were good we had with them, and that I always enjoyed wrestling them. And plus was heel, guys. It was cool to be a heel. I mean, for the PG-13 stuff, and I'm sure that's ones too.
And I guess I would say, what Tommy said, I'm not saying that's wrong. That's all those were good and everything, but we had some good matches against Lawler and Brian, and different gimmick matches at the Coliseum and just regular matches, and but there was a lot of different tag matches. I mean, I think we had some good tag matches with Ricky and Robert. I think we had some.
We did
a couple good matches with Stan and Steve that was really good. The one probably best Gardens. We had good matches up north. I think a couple good matches with and this goes off the rails from what we're talking about, but with Public Enemy, worked for Dennis Corluzza. And everything, but there's just it depends on what style and what you're talking about and what you wanted to see. But I mean, I remember, I'd like to say 90-some-odd% of this, and man, we had some good matches with. I mean, we had good matches with freaking Road Dogg and Tracy Smothers. I thought we had some real good matches and everything, but it was just different people. But it was a whole lot of other different people than that, but that's some of the top ones that, and like I said, Tommy said we had the year-long feud thing with PG, and that was good, and that drew money, some of the last money in Memphis, and I thought those was real good and everything. But there's a lot of different people, and I mean, I think me and Tommy worked well with different people and different styles, and I think it was all.
But as far as your favorite for just your personal preference, for whatever reason it'd be, what match would you say you think might be your favorite? I know it's hard to narrow it down to one, but if you had to say,
I'd say mine would probably be I guess Lawler and Brian at the Coliseum. A couple of those matches would probably be my favorite if we go back and look on video. And I think as far as chemistry with long-term programs, it would be PG, which like saying you're saying just say one, but I'll say that with Lawler and Brian. But then like I said, as far as programs and feuds, the one with PG, and then like I said, all those other guys, you hate to say one or the other, but I mean, I love some of the stuff we did. If you look back at the TV, and y'all are going through some of those years of TV right now, Gene, and look at some of that stuff like me and Tommy did with Lawler and Brian and some of the different ones. And what's really cool is, and this is a little bit off subject, but when you go to those 8-man tags where you've got Tommy in there, and I'm in there with all the legends, and Brian is too, with all the legends of Memphis. I mean, some of that is really stuff that, I mean, nobody but us ever got to be in. I mean, with these guys that drew sellout after sellout at the Mid-South Coliseum.
And I could say, rock and roll. I mean, it is like Dougie said. I mean, it's hard, just to say, and especially one match. I've done it for 50 years,
Right.
I mean, me and Dougie's been together a long time, For the fans, I mean, they was good to work with.
That was one of my favorite matches you guys had, was just that whole element of it. Like, you're at the Louisville Gardens and, you had Gossett with y'all, and they had Cornette with them, and just the whole package. And it was the Memphis Memories night, and just everything about it. It felt like a big deal. Here they were, this big tag team of the '80s, and you guys had become a tag team of the '90s. But then you also had the element of Tommy's tag team with Eddie, and just a whole lot of factors I think came together to make that match special.
Yeah, I think you're really right, Gene. Me and Tommy talked about that a little bit going up to it, and the way they want to lead into it, they'd ask us a couple of questions, and did we want to do a couple of different things and everything, and that was really neat. But like I said, it's always neat having some input yourself when you had good bookers and you had great minds around you, because during that time, Jarrett was around, Lawler was around, Randy Hells was around, and I mean, you had a bunch of different people and I mean, believe me, Randy might have been the booker at different times, but believe me, he listened to Jarrett and he listened to Lawler also. But the good thing was he also listened to Tommy had ideas or I had an idea. We could throw it off them just as same as we could Lawler or Jarrett either one.
So the second half of his question, do you guys have a favorite match that you wrestled against each other?
Well, I sent you a picture of one, and didn't you tell me that was from Cleveland?
I looked it up and figured it out. Yeah, I think that was Cleveland. I'm pretty sure.
I think we had a couple good matches at Cleveland, and I say good matches, I mean really good matches at Cleveland. But I mean, we worked against each other in Nashville, in Memphis, and everything. And I think after, and me and Tommy both said this, after we had tagged up and done so much tagging up, I told him, I said, I just don't think the people believe this. It don't matter. We can go out there and work as hard as we want to, but when we was together for so long and everything, I mean, the people just buy, and I think they can tell when you're actually, you are friends, and maybe we wasn't working hard enough to make them think we wasn't friends, but I mean, it's just one of the deals we had good chemistry working against each other also, but I think the people believed us as a tag too much to want to see us wrestle each other.
And a lot of it is, too, they all knew that, dude, I started with Tom and Eddie and Doug. I mean, that's just like brothers. I mean,
yeah,
I really appreciate them. I think people looked at us as brothers, or me as the in-between daddy or whatever.
Right. But and actually, what I'm trying to say, Jim, is I think they wanted to see us together more than they did fighting each other.
Yeah.
It's just one of the deals. I mean, sometimes you can do that with people and everything, but I mean, we actually did draw some money together, and I think got over on different aspects of things and worked with a lot of different people and everything. And I think the people believed in that and they liked it, and that's the way they had rather stay. But we had some great matches. Like I said, the match that Tommy come in when he come back in from Atlanta, and I worked with him at the Coliseum. I was really enthused about that match, and I thought it was really good. And that's the one I told you that me and Eddie had to pick from. We didn't have to pick; they picked for us, and I got Tommy and Eddie got Bill, and I think I got, not being that bad, but chemistry wise, I got the better choice of the two and everything. Like I said, I love Bill. Bill's a great guy and everything, but I was glad out of that choice that Jarrett give me Tommy and give Eddie Bill.
Yeah, I can attest to what you're saying as a fan watching those matches. And it's not that you guys didn't make it believable, but I didn't want to see Doug and Tommy fight. I want to see you guys teaming. It's like when they split the Rock and Roll Express and WCW. Like, I don't want to see Ricky and Robert fight. I want to see the Rock and Roll Express, Right. So I think that's more what it is. I think you hit it right on the head.
Well, and what people told me before is they thought, whether me and Tommy was bad, or if they try to make us good, but we would still be bad, that people love to see that more than us fighting one another. And me, it was just always, I told Tommy, I said, this is, you'll go ahead and go along with some plans that people have at times, even though you think they aren't the best plans, but you'll go along with them business-wise if they think it's best, and maybe they'll be right, maybe it will draw some money. But I told Tommy before, I said, man, we need to ex-nay this and go back, and usually they'd wind up going along with us and do it and everything. But Tommy, is there a favorite match you have?
I'm sorry?
I said, is there a favorite match you have that me and you had against one another?
Pretty much. I mean, everything. I mean, it was all. I enjoyed them all. I mean, but the people, sometimes people just ain't buying what you're selling. I mean, that's like just recently we was at a show in Memphis, in the Memphis area, and they told us to go out and be heels, and we did what they said.
Right.
People but wasn't buying what they were selling.
Yeah, the people. I told the guy in the back, Gene. I said, "Listen, I said we'll do whatever you want. I said we're cool with that. I don't have a problem with doing what you want. I said, but what you're wanting is not what's going to happen."
Right.
And he looked at me and said, "You don't think so?" And I said, "No." And I said, "It's not because we're going to try to make it not be that way. It's just I'm telling you they're not going to buy it, but we're going to do whatever you want." So we went to the ring. We were supposed to be big bad heels, and everybody freaking popped. And I told Tommy, I said, "Boy, we're some good heels, ain't we?" And, but we wound up working like heels and everything. And I told the guy we would. And we come back. He said, "How was it?" I said, "Just like I told you."
Most popular heels on the card.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like I told him, Gene, I said, "Look," I said, "the Mid-South Coliseum is right over our shoulder." I said, "How many years?" I said, "How many tickets has Tommy sold there?" I said, "How many tickets has my family sold at the Mid-South Coliseum?" I said, "And all these people that watched and their kids, and then now they're bringing their kids to watch us, and they know us, and they don't have a clue about these other guys and the history with us they do. That's the people that comes." And that's why I was saying that. It wasn't trying to be smart or saying that they was going to just love me and Tommy more than everybody else. But when history is there, it's hard to go against it.
And I'm sure you guys had been talking with people all afternoon, coming up the table, telling you all those things, and you're like, these people aren't going to go over there and sit down and now boo us after they've been over here, telling us all these great memories they have of us, and now they're going to go hate us as heels in a few minutes.
Well, here's the kicker. We hadn't actually talked to anybody. I mean, one or two people outside that had walked by the dressing room, I'd said hey to it.
Oh, this was after.
But yeah, this was like an afternoon deal. But the whole thing, they took us on golf carts to the ring. Well, Jimmy Hart was introducing us and everything. Well, he thought he was, but they told us to wait a minute before we went to the ring. So we stood there about 10 minutes. I said, "Shoot, the heck with this. Let's go, Tommy." So we went on the ring. The people popped. They didn't even announce us. They didn't know we was. I mean, nobody else knew we was out there except the fans. And fans were popping and everything. So we're in the ring. So then all of a sudden the other two guys come, and they're just not popping or anything. Just the guys hadn't been on TV or anything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they didn't know who they was and everything. That's why I was saying it was going to be like that and everything. But, I mean, I told Tommy, I looked at him, he laughed, made Jimmy Hart wind up introducing us last, and the people popped, and I said, "Boy, we're big heels, ain't we?" I said, "Look at us, big heels." I said, "But we're going to work like heels anyway." I said, "The people was going to cheer for us, but we're going to work like heels." So we done what they wanted.
That's all you can do. Philip Franklin asked, who do you guys think is the all-time toughest female wrestler in history?
Who is the all-time what is female?
Toughest female wrestler. Now they have a second question, who is the best worker? So I guess the first half of the question is just who is just physically tough, and then the second half is who actually could work.
Tommy probably go ahead with the toughest. Who was the toughest, Tommy?
I guess Moolah.
Well, that's what I was going. I figured you'd probably say that.
I mean, yeah, it would have to be Moolah.
And I was going to say working wise, and I mean, there's 4 or 5 different ones I could probably say, but I would say just right off the top of my head, Sherry Martell.
Yeah.
Don't you think Sherry was? Sherry was good, and she was cool, and she was professional, and she could take bumps like men. I mean,
oh yeah.
I guess I should have said it like that, but she could take, I mean, any kind of crazy bump that say any guy wanted to give her, and I mean, everything looked good, and she was just really smooth. And to me, and that's, I had just been around her when I was starting in the business, and she was really nice, and I mean, she was like actually a joy to actually talk to and be around and everything. But I mean, there's 5 or 6 others also, Gene. I'm not just saying Sherry. There's others I would also say was really good and everything.
And it is. It's a different time period. But she was good on the microphone. She could carry out. She could talk. I mean, she just all around was good. I mean, Sherry was good. And I did a couple of angles with her up in when I wrestled up at AWA. I did an angle with her and Kevin Kelly where I dress off, and it was so I was around her quite a bit. She was she was one of the guys. I mean, she tell you a joke, and like a man would tell you, she tell you a joke. I mean, she was
Gene, did he say he ripped her dress off?
He did. Now was this during the match, or are you just talking about before or after?
You have to check that tapes out to find out. You have to take it again. Clip of it.
Hey, and who was also good was Wendy Richter.
Yeah.
Wendy was
She was good, but I think all around Sherry was the best because she could wrestle, she could talk, she could manage, and she was good at ringside as a manager. It could play her role, but didn't take away from the match. But she could take a bump. I mean, Hogan's out there slamming her, and do it all.
And I mean, she looked just like me and Tommy was talking about Bockwinkel the other day. Sherry looked the part, the professional wise, and whether she had her face half painted. Remember when they done that with her and everything? Yeah. She always looked the part and everything. And I mean, she was just really, like I said, she was always so nice and everything to me and all the guys and everything. I really respect her a lot.
So next up, Bobby Murray posted this on Facebook. He posted, he wanted to ask Tommy about the guy he refers to as his son, Flash Flanagan. I guess he's just wanting your thoughts and general memories of Flash.
Flash, when I first met him, he'd come up to me wanting child support. Told me he was my kid. I had to get some credentials from him. No, he was a good kid. No, he started up there out of Louisville, and he just was always around. I just always, because he had that blonde hair. Yeah. After he got 21, I asked him, no, I didn't want to pay no child support.
Hey, you know what, Gene? That might be where that, what'd you say the name of that federation was in Indianapolis?
Oh, WWA, the Bruiser Bedlam, WWA.
That Bruiser Bedlam, that might have been where he come from. No, he was actually just he had his hair like Tommy's, and he'd come up to Tommy, and I'd always pop. I'd say, "There's your boy," and he started calling Tommy Dad and stuff. Yeah. And I laughed, and he was funny. Then me and Tommy saw him just here last year, and he had less hair than I do. Believe it or not, I don't think he had no hair at all, and everything. But we talked to him a little bit then, and I said, "Tommy, there's your son," and Tommy looked at him and said, "Who is that?" I said, "That's Flash." And he said, "Flash Flanagan?" I said, "Yeah, that's Flash." But anyway, bless his heart, Flash was always good when he was growing up, and even now, I mean, he's a good guy and everything. But me and Tommy was around him. He was in the USWA a lot. Then me and Tommy worked a bunch of independents around Kentucky and more in Indiana than Kentucky because you had to have your license. Now Tommy's the king of Kentucky wrestling and everything. I stay away.
They've named promotions after him. I'm pretty sure they're going to name the state after him eventually. They're going to change the name of Kentucky.
Before it's over, he had the key to every city in Kentucky.
Governor Rich.
There you go. And then he'll be still charging us for wrestling license.
That's when you'll make some real money then. When you can start charging them dang Kentucky wrestling license, you'll be sitting on all.
Hey, that's when I'll get to hear Lawler cussing. He don't cuss anybody anymore. But if I tell him Tommy's in the athletic commission in Kentucky, I'll get him to cuss him a little bit.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here, curator of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, inviting you guys to listen to many of the programs here as part of the WrestleCopia brand, including, but not limited to, the Wrestling Memory Grenade, currently covering the 1988 and the WWF project. You can also listen to the Regional Wrestling Podcast, where we talk the territories, whether it's Jamie Ward with Georgia 81 Roman Gomez with the UWF in 1986, or Gene Jackson covering Memphis in 85. 3 projects going on right now over there at Regional Wrestling. You can also listen to the Wrestling Stoop with the legend himself, Bob Roop. Bob goes back in time each and every week, covering not just his career, but countless stories and interactions with hundreds of wrestling names spanning his 2 decades in the business. But that's not all. You can also check out the Puro Wrestling Academy with the professor of Puro Resu, Mr. Dan Ginnity. Dan and I go back in time and cover the history of Japanese professional wrestling in the English language. And you can listen to all of those shows and more, all part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, located over at WrestleCopia.com. That's WrestleCopia.com, and anywhere your podcast streaming needs are met, from Apple to Spotify, Pocket Cast, and beyond. And while you're at it, why not subscribe to our social media guys for all the latest goings on here at the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Plus, I'm constantly adding old school video clips and pictures from throughout wrestling history. You can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter, at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. Also, follow and like me, Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. And why not subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. So if you're looking to support that next up-and-coming podcast brand, please consider making it WrestleCopia.
So Chuck the Truck asks, Doug, what was it like wrestling in Germany in 1997?
Man, it was really cool. I had left Japan and I come home for like 4 days, and I had talked to Chono in Japan. I don't know who got me. It was the press, I think, got me in touch with Chono. And Chono's wife is a German, and he was coming on the same tour that I went on and everything. And I talked to them. Well, I flew home for 4 or 5 days, and then I went to Germany for it was like 7 or 8 days. But wow. You know me, big dummy me, not thinking about the weather. I just kind of left my clothes packed that was clean from Japan and went to Germany. Where in Japan is about the same weather as here, and you know in Germany is about 5 degrees or 10 degrees or something. I got off the plane and I met Otto Wands, and it was real cool, which I talked to him on the phone 3 or 4 times and everything, but I'd never met Otto. And Otto picked me up at the airport and introduced himself, and I had, you know, like cash on me, but I didn't have any of their cash. So he asked me how much money did I want. I said, it don't matter how much ever you think you need to give me. So he gave me like, I think, $200 or $300 and everything. Told if I needed more, just ask him for it, and he'd give me. And so he took me to a hotel, and what it was, every night we would go to they was wrestling at the same building in Germany. They wrestled for the same building like it was either 30 or 60 nights in a row. The same building, not changed buildings or nothing. Every night, the same building. And they had their own crew over there, and they would set up like the crew that they had there, that they brought guys from the States and everything. And they had German guys. It was their guys that was over, and they brought guys from the States. And they would have like little RV campers that those guys that they brought over would live in, and those were set up like at the back of the arena and everything. And the guys lived like in those. Well, what we had to do, the guys that they flew in, was the last night of the tour. They called it the Championship Series. Was the last night of the tour in Germany. And what we would have to do every night, we would go out and cut a promo. And like during the day, it was like, to me, what Germany was like you was boxing. Like, you know how you had the boxers like come and sit at the tables, and you'd have like your WBC and your different guys sitting between them, and they'd ask this boxer what's going to happen in this match and this. So they'd ask me a question, they'd ask the guy that I was working with a question, and it'd go back and forth. Well, Otto had told me that first day, he said, and I didn't know, he told all the other guys this. I listened. I was the last one that went out to cut the promo, and every other guy said, "Oh, Germany's great. We're so happy to be here." And they put their hand over their heart and all this. And right before I went out, he said, "You say you hate Germany. You hate the people. You hate everything." Well, when I got off the plane in Germany, you know, they was standing there with the AK-47s and stuff. You know, I'm talking about the military guys.
Right.
I'm thinking, dang, I just come from Japan, one of the safest places in the world. And what is this like? But anyway, so Otto tells me that stuff. I said, "Are you serious?" And he said, yeah, say you hate this place and anything you can think of. And I went out and cut a promo, and I said, you know what? Everybody else come out here and tell you how much they love y'all and everything. I said, but this is the closest place to hell I've ever been. And when I said that, but I did ask Otto. I said, Otto, these people won't shoot me or kill me or nothing, will they? Because I mean, gee, I didn't know. Look, young me over there, I wasn't sure. But I had a great time. Otto, anybody can say whatever they want, but Otto Wands was one of the straight upest business guys that I'd ever dealt with. He was a man of his word. I mean, I loved it over there. We'd go out every night, like I said, and cut a promo in the ring. And then the last night we would work. But after we'd cut that promo, we'd go to, he had a place set up as like a pub, but there was a whole lot of sponsors and stuff in on this, but this one pub was, and they would take us to this pub, and I would sit there with the Japanese press and Chono and his wife. And see, I knew Chono from when Eddie brought him into Continental.
Right.
That's the first time Chono come to the United States. And then he wound up, when he went back to Japan, he wound up being the man there for freaking 10 to 15 years. I mean, he was he hurt his neck. He actually broke some vertebrae in his neck and everything. That cut his career a little bit short, but still, he had a long career, and he was super over. And I think, Tommy, you met Chono before, right?
I was trying to think back. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did.
Yeah, he was here as far as like with Muda for a little time period, right, Gene, and WCW and everything. But
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I think that's where you would have met him at time. But he was a great dude, and his wife was a German citizen. She was really nice. But like when we was there, I'd talk with them and go out with them a little bit and everything. And then we also had Savio Vega there. You could pull up some of those cars, but it was myself, Savio, Chono. I mean, it was a good like 7 or 8 match deal where they brought all of us in for just like that last night, and we worked with their top baby faces.
And Eddie did a couple of tours over there as well. I know I found some matches of his with Fit Finley a while back.
Yeah, oh man, that was really good, Gene. I've saw those too. That was he went the 2 years before I went and everything. And Otto called me and asked where was I going to be at. And at the time, I told him I thought I was going to stay in Japan. And then I called him back and told him no, actually the tour was going to be over a few days before and everything. So I wound up going over there, and man, I loved it. I had a great time over there. I've heard different people tell different stories that didn't like it, but now they stayed there like 60 days and 90 days, and I mean, if you stayed there that long, maybe you wouldn't like it. I don't know that I think I might have liked it even if I'd stayed that long, because they had the trains that you get on and go all around the country and everything. But I mean, and I think those guys was on pretty good money deals, all of them. I mean, I think Otto took care, and the strangest thing, I don't guess I should say this is the strangest thing, but they drew every night in the same building. And like I said, for 30 and 60 days, where would you think that? Now, that was before there was any WWF TV, WCW TV. There was no TV. TV was just starting over there. They was just starting to get US TV, and that's what Otto told me was going to wind up killing their business. Because the only stars they had was their homemade stars, which was Fit Finley, Steve Regal, Franz Schumann. That's who I worked with. Right. But now they had and Eddie told me Finley and Regal, he said, when you get those two guys in the country, they're going to draw a bunch of money. And when Eddie went over there the first time and worked with Fit.
Yeah.
So
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I never did get to go to Germany. I wish I always wanted to. Yeah, but that's pretty cool. Staying, you see how they draw money. I mean, like it's every night for 30, 40 days.
That's wild.
Hey, and you know who was really over there? And I don't mean this bad, because he was a great guy here and everything. And I mean, I'm sure he drew Vince some money then. But do you remember Gene Duke the Dumpster Drosy?
Yeah.
Tommy, do you remember that name?
Yeah.
He was like a big baby face, but he kind of with the same gimmick over there and everything. But the people loved him.
Is that right?
Yeah. And he was one of the guys that went for the 90 days, though, stayed the whole tour and everything. And they had the guy that was over there remember the guy that was in WCW that they called him Ice Train or something? He was he was somebody's cousin or something, but he was a huge, muscled up black guy that was Ice Train.
Team with Scott Norton for a while. Ice Train. It was him and Scott Norton were like fire and ice or something. They wrestled.
That's it. And he was
built like Norton.
Right, he was somebody's cousin or nephew.
Wasn't he related to like Thunderbolt Patterson or something?
One of those that in that direction. But I mean, he was a good dude. But I wound up meeting him over there. But I got, like I said, I stayed there for a week, and I just talked with different ones of them during the day and everything. I'd go to the building, which their little campers was right outside, so I'd walk out and talk with all of them and everything. But they had like a cool crew there.
Well, who else was big in Germany? PN News after he stopped being the rap.
PN News.
Yeah, he actually was. He come from that's where he come from.
Yeah,
and everything. You know who else was huge in Germany? But I mean, I don't guess this should be a shot because he was huge everywhere. But I want to say the year that I was there, he might have been there, but it might have been the year or two before, but I think it was there the year I was there, was Terry Funk. They had him there, and they got a horse and for him to ride to the ring, and the horse, when they got the horse to the building, it had its head down like this, and Terry done something to the horse where when he went out to the ring, that horse's head was up, and it was just like loafing kind of towards the ring. But I mean, it was one of his, that was his thing and everything. But man, he was super over there also.
Didn't Bradshaw do well in Germany as well?
Yeah, he did. He did one of the tours. I mean, one or two of the tours. I might have done 3 of them. He did like the 90-day deals and everything. I've heard him talk about that and say that I think that really helped him, and he learned a lot over there.
So another one of our great listeners, Ben Raven, I feel bad because he sent a question about scaffold matches, and I messaged him back. It's like, hey man, they just answered, pretty extensively about scaffold matches here a while back. I was like, have you got anything else? And so then he sent me another question asking about Jerry Blackwell's Southern Championship Wrestling. And I didn't have the heart to tell him that you guys had already talked about it when it hadn't came out yet. But I tell you what we will do in relation to Ben's question about Jerry Blackwell's promotion, because I found this match, and I think it's on our Facebook page. I know it's on the YouTube channel. Tommy, do you remember a 6-man tag team match where you teamed with Eddie and Bruiser Brody, and you guys wrestled Abdullah the Butcher, Dick Slater, and Buck Robley in a 6-man tag team match?
Yeah, we did that. Was that in Marietta?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big. That was one of the big shows we did. Like we did Miss Kitty's there in Marietta, but when they have a few guys come in, we go and do the Cobb Civic Center right there in Marietta. And shit, what a butt cast characters.
You ain't kidding. You could go from A to Z with those 6, couldn't you, Gene?
Absolutely. I saw that match, and I'm like, I gotta ask about this. Like, wow, what a ring full of guys right here.
And then, I mean, you had that. Then you had Blackwell, I'm sure, on the show. And I mean, but what was cool was it was Southern wrestling, but it was like before outlaw stuff was cool. And I don't mean outlaw like bad outlaw stuff. I'm talking about good outlaw stuff. Yeah. And that's what with that bunch is what it was like, because I mean, you had Slater there with those same guys a lot, and you had all of like Tommy's connections that he knew, and Blackwell's connections that he knew, and I mean, everybody got along with those guys, but it was kind of, some people would say maybe it was the outlaw cast, yeah. But I mean, it was guys that drew money that could work. Maybe other people didn't want to deal with them all the time and everything, but it was great guys that could have great matches and work with one another and drew money.
And that's and you talking at the time. That's when the territories. That's when that started. That's when you had what we call the outlaws. It was running when it was territories.
Yeah,
a bunch of guys. Really, which we were like the first, like when the territory. Jerry Blackwell, the wrestling company, and plus Jerry was such a nice fella that everybody would, if we wanted somebody that Jerry could get them, because they all like Bruiser come in, He'll stay out at my house. Jerry wouldn't have to pay for a hotel, It's that's where I got to know Bruiser Brody. What a cool guy he was. I mean, family man. He sort of do like W.O.M.B.A.T in the night. And I know how big Bruiser was. His damn feet had to hang off the end. But he with me, man. Just the coolest guy, Because I always thought, McCall, first season, Hill. And if he don't like you, I'm sure he is, but man, just all the way around it. Yeah, I enjoyed out to the house. I look all the time.
And see, Gene, it was the same way with him and Eddie. Like when I was around him in Kansas City, which, like I told you, I worked for him when I worked for Tommy also, and he was really nice to him. But when I was around him in Kansas City, when I was just a real young kid, man, I looked up at him when he walked in the door. He kind of had to duck his head to get in the door. I mean, people don't realize that about Brody. I mean, Brody was that freaking. He was looked like a big monster, but I mean, what a freaking. Everybody's got their own stories and everything, but man, he was such a cool dude and nice to my family and everything.
So we'll finish up with this question. Gene from Gadsden asks, have either of you ever, you have any interesting stories about Frankie Cain, a.k.a. the Great Mephisto, a.k.a. one half of the Infernos with J.C. Dykes? I recently read a book about the Mississippi Territory, and they talked a lot about Frankie Cain booking, and I've seen a lot of other stuff involving him, and I just wanted to see if you guys had any dealings with him or have any interesting stories about him.
Well, I was around him some. He was a cool fella too. He come into Georgia, and anyway, Frankie Cain, he wrestled there, Georgia, the Great Mephisto, and he was wrestling too. One night he was managing. I can't remember who he was managing, but he took his turban thing he wore off and he popped it too, and it hit two in the eye, and they got to the back. And bad. They got in a little fight. And two front face locked him, took him down the floor, and Frankie all of a sudden let go of him and come up off that floor. And Frankie done bit a chunk out of his side. Frankie, he used to box. He was he was pretty tough. It was over after that. I mean, he beat him pretty good.
Wow.
And see, Gene, it seems like I remember hearing that my dad worked with him, which had been way before my time.
I'm sure he did,
It seems like I remember my dad working.
Right, I mean, he was Frankie Cain, the Great Mephisto. I mean,
the Infernos, that was a long-running team there.
Right, and everything. But, yeah, it seems like I remember what year with the Infernos, what year would that have been, Gene?
They were in the 50s and 60s.
Okay.
And then he transitioned into Mephisto towards the end of the 60s into the 70s.
Okay, yeah, I think like at my dad's starting, when my dad was starting, I think my dad worked with him a few times, if I'm not mistaken. Hey, Gene, and before you said we're fixed to go, I've got a question. Can I ask, since this is question and answer, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
I was watching a video the other day, and where did the guy on here say mysterious Mr. R was what you said, Mr. R, and he said it was mysterious Mr. R, right?
He did. He made sure to add that on to make sure you knew it was the mysterious Mr. R.
Where did mysterious Mr. R get them gold boots, Gene, that he had on in that match that you put on the YouTube channel?
I guess that's part of the mystery, because one of the only times I remember seeing those.
Was that the mysterious part? Or,
I think so.
Or what was that? Where'd you get the gold boots from, Tommy?
I don't think I had no gold boots.
Gee.
Were they gold?
In that picture they were, but that picture looks like somebody might have, did some adjustments to it. But that's the first thing that caught my eye when I got ready to share it. I'm like, I don't remember ever seeing Tommy wear those boots. Of course, we know that turned out to be Brad Armstrong. That wasn't you. But
hey, maybe that was Brad on that mask that you show.
Yeah.
Hey,
old boots.
Hey, I'm pretty sure this was you.
If it wasn't, it was somebody who looked a whole lot like you.
They were copies.
Hey, but I'm gonna say this: you was getting the best of Ted DiBiase.
That's right.
So I would say it was you, but I popped when I looked at the boots. But Gene might be right. Somebody might have colored your boots in or something, but they was gold. I thought that Tommy was serious about this mysterious stuff. He done got him some gold boots to go along with this mask.
I don't remember ever having no damn gold.
Hey, I think Tommy done left his boots at home that night and borrowed somebody's boots.
That could have been the case.
That could have been.
And then rather than admit to that, he's just like, hey, you know what really make this more mysterious? If you let me borrow your boots tonight. That'll really get this thing over.
Well,
folks, we appreciate y'all sending in questions. I don't want us to run short on time. I'm going to ask one more bonus question here based on another. I recently read the book Scott Teal did with Don Fargo called The Hard Way. And man, you talk about a guy who lived an interesting life in and out of the ring.
You know what? That was one of my dad's buddies that he talked to the day that Don died. Yeah.
That's what I wanted to ask. We've talked about Jackie Fargo on here a number of times, but I want to see if you guys had any stories or memories of Don Fargo. And I figured that perhaps maybe your dad had definitely had some dealings with Don Fargo. So surely you've had at least heard some stories about Don Fargo because there's a lot of them. He played a lot of different characters over the years too.
I was with him. He come to Tennessee when I was first starting. I think it was he teamed up with Chris Colt, I think.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
He was there when I was there, and Lord have mercy, what a character! You know, I was 18 years old, and son, but I mean, a hell of a great guy. Don't get me. I like him. I mean, I didn't know him as good as I knew Jackie. Jackie, I got close, friends with Jackie and everything. But that Don, he was a wild man. They talk about him taking his boot off in a bar, and he had a safety pin or something stick through the skin on his pecker, stab it down and throw the shit. I mean, just so wild and shit that I didn't even heard of in my life. Yeah, he come in one time and he had like big scratch marks. I mean, they looked bad on his back. And somebody said, "What happened?" He said, "Oh, my girl just scratched me a little bit last night." I thought, no, she scratched you a lot. Yeah. He was quite the cat.
And they also said, Gene, that him and Jackie would get together and pull a lot of reels on different people. And I also heard now, Don was the one, right, that when they first come out and said they was the Hells Angels or something, didn't some Hells Angels get him and his partner?
Yeah, that almost went very, very badly for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they almost killed him, right? I mean, it almost?
Yeah, they didn't. The Hells Angels didn't understand the concept of a gimmick or somebody, working a character for wrestling. And no, they didn't take kindly to that at all.
But now the whole deal, the last few years my dad was alive, like they went to Don went to some conventions, and my dad did too, and they would meet up. But man, they was really and what's strange about this is, but I guess if somebody's seen my dad and they seen Don, they think, well, these are two different guys. But now they was both cut from the same breed as far as that old school and believability and tough. I mean, Don was a tough guy, wasn't he, Tommy? I mean, Don was tough. My dad was tough. And I mean, wouldn't nobody have told them if they said something about wrestling being a work, or if they even brought out fake, they'd have got in those days. Yeah. Those guys' younger days, they'd have been stretched and hurt. I mean, that wouldn't even have been said. But like I said, Don was a tough guy, and I mean, my dad was a tough guy. I mean, they was actually wrestlers that could wrestle, and Don had that biker gimmick, and he lived it, didn't he, Tommy? And I mean, he was a cool dude.
Yeah, that's what he was. Yeah. I remember him good. I was in there with a bunch of them one night, and we always stayed in Memphis at Admiral Bimbo. Hey, we come in from Tupelo, wherever, and I remember I was in the room. As a matter of fact, I was with Tommy and Eddie Marlin. I think we left that, picked Tommy up in Lexington and went to Tupelo. Then had Memphis TV, and then Jonesboro. Well, we come in and they went to their room. And so anyway, I ended up in a room. It was like Big Bad John, Danny Hodge, Don Fargo, and I can't even remember who, but it was a bunch of like older men. I was sitting in there. I was like, I was scared, but I was in awe too, just all them characters, I mean, there was some characters in that room. And that Danny Hodge, man, I mean, the stories about, I mean, that was just that old culture, like Dougie said, Don Fargo, his dad, and Terry the Funks. I mean, that's, that's true. That's some history there, brother. And I was in there with all of it.
Wow. And Gene, I mean, as far as Danny Hodge, who Tommy's talking about, he's a guy nobody could ever get behind. If he ever grabbed, he'd squeeze an apple into it. He'd squeeze his hand strength was like stronger than any man's in the world or something.
He had
like double tendons or something like that. Yeah. So he could probably just snap pliers and
some people take an apple with a razor blade and cut it so they could pop it. Danny Hodge, he grabbed one, he could pop it.
Wow.
And he grabbed
him up. But Danny Hodge, he was a bad man.
Yeah. But my dad said he would just grab people like, which Gene, you and Tommy can see me, but just grab people like by their wrists there and make them go to the ground. I mean, he was that he was that much of a man. He was just,
it was a different breed of guys back then. I mean,
right. It was,
in your dad's era, that was some tough dudes, man.
And think of the names that Tommy just said that was in the room with him.
Yes.
Imagine that bunch and let's just say gimmicks, the kind of gimmicks that those guys was, and I mean how tough those guys was, but the different gimmicks that each one of them was. You had, just right there in that room with Tommy, you had a little bit of something for everybody for a whole card. I mean, that's what, and it's hard for people to, we can say it a million times, but when you say, you need a little bit of something for everybody, when Tommy just named that bunch to me and you off that was in the room with him, think just that much, and that's just half the guys there.
Yeah.
And the unity they had, you couldn't get that cat in today's world. You wouldn't get that group of guys together after a show in a room. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They were sitting there telling old war stories, man. So I was blessed to hear a lot of that stuff. I mean, so that's what we do. You go to the hotel and just get guys, drink a few beers, whatever. Listen to and what stories they had too. I mean, just.
And Gene, I had a question for Tommy. I have one question for you, if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay. If we was going back to our favorite matches that me and Tommy had, if we was to ask you what the favorite tag match me and Tommy together ourselves had been in, which match would you say would be your favorite?
I would say that Fabulous Ones match that I talked about earlier. That, like I say, just because of where it was at and the time it was and what it represented from like team of the 80s versus team of the 90s. I just really, and then like I say, then you guys had Gossett with you out there, which was another fun element, and he's playing off cornet and just there's just a lot of stuff to like about that match.
And you're exactly right. And the funny thing is we don't go into a lot talking, and on here maybe we can, but like we don't go into talking a lot about spot shows and stuff like that. But me and Tommy had so many different, which were, Tommy had the angles with Lawler, and I had the angles with Lawler. Then I had the angle with Tommy. I had the angle with Brian for so long. Then Tommy worked with Brian for the USWA titles. But during all those spot shows around that time, we would work like in the spot shows. We'd usually work in a tag match with both those guys. And man, we had some great matches with Lawler and Brian during those times. And that was really, I really always remember that. And like I said, I always remember the PG. That was special to me. Me working with Brian, that was special. But I just wanted to ask you because I figured you'd have one that stuck out in your mind.
That one really does. Like I say, like I say, for a lot of reasons. And again, that connection with, Tommy and Eddie and against the Fabulous Ones and all that,
Right.
just it always has stood out to me as one of the favorites. And I'm glad it's on tape. I wish somebody had been recording more of those spot shows and we could go back and see a lot of those matches where you guys had time. You could go out there, you could have fun, you could get heat. You didn't really have to have all these outside factors to worry about.
Right. I mean, we and that was one good thing. I say one good thing. There was a lot of good things about those times and everything. But the good deal was usually me and Tommy usually had at least 30 minutes, 40 minutes, if we wanted 50 minutes. But I mean, nobody ever pulled us back the reins because usually we was last. And I'd tell Tommy, we'd laugh about it every once in a while. I'd say, they were be glad we go 30 and 40 minutes because this show ain't went but a freaking hour. And that's 5 matches. And we the 6 backs, in which me and Brian was funny about that too. Like me and him be last, and we get ready to go on, and they say, "Well, y'all got to at least go 40." And I said, Brian, you ever say anything to them other guys? And he started laughing, which it was cool. We didn't mind going. That was just us. That was our job to go. Yeah. We was last and everything. But I mean, they would nobody didn't ever tell me and Tommy we couldn't go as long as we want, but we knew we was going to go 30 or 40 or something. That was just every night. But I mean, that was our job. And, we looked at it like that and everything, but that was a cool aspect. And like you said, Gene, you didn't have people telling you, look, you got to do all this in 10 minutes or you got to go home in 15 minutes. I can't recall, Tommy, anybody ever telling me and you to go home. Can you, as far as any of those, as far as at the Coliseum, as far as any of the spots, just like TV, they'd say to us, "Oh, you ain't got but a couple minutes left" or something at different times. But I mean, as far as the shows, I think we had pretty much leeway to do, like you said, Gene. You could see everything, and I mean, we'd have fun, and I mean, we'd have fun even at the other shows. But like I was saying, when you was at the spot shows, you could go out there and you could do a little more stuff, and you could try a little more stuff, and everything was really fun.
And the crowds were so good, too. It was fun to go 20 or 30 anyway. You didn't get wound up, especially in the tag, 20, 30 minutes. I mean, you go out there and entertain them a little bit. And just the electricity in them spot show buildings, it wasn't Madison Square Gardens or it wasn't Louisville Gardens, but the electricity there, because it was full. So the electricity, man, in them little towns, it make you work hard. Anyway, of course, we got paid. I mean, it didn't matter if there was 10 people there. We'd go out and bust our butts, because they bought a ticket. That used to be our mentality. And you wanted to put on a good show. And plus the talent, you didn't have to worry about, well, he wants to do this. And you went out there and you just cruised through it. So, life was good, man.
Yeah. And the funny thing, a lot of those spot shows, Gene, people, if they could just heard some of the stuff that was said, me and Tommy would say, especially with Jamie and Wolfie, if they ever said anything much, we'd say, "Shut up." And Tommy would laugh, which Tommy really be the one. He'd get over me every once in a while, and I'd laugh, and I'd have to tell Tommy, I said, "Leave him alone." And he'd say, "What?" I said, "Leave him alone. You're gonna make one of them cry. Quit saying anything." But like Tommy said, he got to be the brother dad type figure. And to them, it was the dad type. And he'd get on them every once in a while. I said, "Tommy, leave them alone." And we start to the ring, and he just said something to one of them downstairs or something. And he said, "Do what?" I said, "Leave them alone." I said, "You done hurt their feelings." And he'd start laughing. But now people that don't really know and understand the way things was, I mean, you would have laughed. You can ask Tommy. I mean, I'd tell him, he'd look at me and he'd say, "Shut up." So I ain't hurt nobody's feelings. I said, "Yeah, you did. Don't say nothing else." You're talking about some funny stuff.
Hey, it ends up, Gene, I guess I scarred your good buddy Wolfie D. I thought Dougie was playing, but I guess, Wolfie took it too serious sometimes.
I was going to say, you have to be referring to Wolfie because Jamie Dundee doesn't have feelings. So.
No, never did, him, dog.
Hey, I should say Jamie didn't have feelings because Tommy spanked him when he was about 6 years old to death.
Yeah, Jamie expected anything anyway. Me and Bill pierced his ear at 5, I think. Put a safety pin and stuck to it, pierced his ear. Yes.
I've heard him tell that story. Didn't y'all give him a swig of beer or something before that?
Oh, I'm sure they gave him a swig
He
of beer
was
before.
like 8 years old or something.
Yes.
I've heard him tell that in dressing rooms before. Can't nobody get mad at me for being a screw up. Tommy Rich and my dad got me drunk and pierced my ear when I was a baby.
Hey, he wasn't lying.
Oh man. Well, folks, I hope that answers all your questions. Keep them coming in, and we will keep asking them here. And again, if you want to book these guys, if you want to book Tommy to come out and do some of these Don Fargo tricks, you bring the needle and he'll stick it right through there. I'm just trying to keep you busy, Tommy. I know you're out there running circles around me and Doug. We can't keep up with you. I'm looking on the computer like, oh, there's Tommy. He's on the internet right now. What's he doing? But
you ain't kidding. Tommy's hungry.
That's right. He's making things happen, and we're glad of it. But folks, keep making it happen. Keep sending in those questions. douggilbertpodcast at outlook.com, and we will answer your question right here on the show very soon. But remember, join us next week, episode 25, the 25th edition of Dangerous Conversations is going to be a very special one. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun as we celebrate the birthday of one Mr. Tommy Gilbert, the father of Doug and Eddie, and the tag team championship partner at one time of Tommy Wildfire Rich. Guys, I'm looking forward to that one. Should be a lot of fun.
Man, I'm really looking forward to it also, Gene, and I can't wait. Like I said, Tommy's got a lot of great stories, and I sure got a lot of great stories about my dad. My dad was a great dude, and, man, you're talking about a wrestler that could go. I mean, my dad was just a good dude, and like I said, I think he helped a lot of people out during his career, and he was friends with a lot of people and had a lot of friends and everything. I can't wait for next week to talk about this. But, look, I've had a good time this week and everything, and you said this is going to be the 25th episode next week, right, Gene?
The 25th episode, and I've pulled a bunch of match results of a lot of the matches your dad had, and we're going to talk about Johnny Starr next week as well. We'll wait. We'll let that as a teaser for next week.
Johnny Starr. That sounds good. And if you look in Paradise Alley, you'll see Johnny Starr is one of the names that starred in Paradise Alley. I don't know if you remember that movie or not, Gene.
I do.
Okay, yeah, it was Terry Funk, Sylvester Stallone, Terry Funk, and when you look, you see Johnny Starr in that movie also. But anyway, listen, guys, that only means, Gene, we've been on here 6 months. Is that what that means? 20.
That does. It's flowing by, right? I mean, my
goodness. Guys, Tommy, it seemed like that long. I know you started just a little bit into this with us, but 6 months, that's pretty good. That's what, Tommy, that's 4 more months than you give me, wasn't it?
That's real good. Hey, thank everybody for tuning in, man. Sharing with your friends. We want to grow.
Yeah, we sure do. And everybody remember to rate, review, and subscribe. And hey, listen, peace. We're out.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktree/WrestlePod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here, inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it, plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at WrestleCopia.com. And to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to USWApodcast.com. Before we get out of here, I just want to take a moment to remind everyone, if you have an upcoming wrestling show, autograph signing, collector show, Comic-Con, or any event or booking that you would like to inquire about the services of Dangerous Doug Gilbert and or Tommy Wildfire Rich, just send us an email at douggilbertpodcast@outlook.com, and someone will get back to you as soon as possible to get more information on your event and do the best we can to make that happen. Also, if you are interested in advertising your event, your business, your product to the listeners of Dangerous Conversations, as well as to promote your event, business, or product across all our social media platforms, you can send that inquiry to douggilbertpodcast@outlook.com. We would love to work together with you to get that out there to the listeners of Dangerous Conversations. Remember to check out douggilbertpodcast.com. There you can find links to all things related to this podcast, as well as Doug and Tommy themselves. You'll find a link to the Dangerous Conversations Facebook page and the Dangerous Conversations Twitter, now known as X. And we're always posting content daily, involving the Gilbert family, Tommy Rich, all sorts of things from their career. We got magazine articles, videos, pictures, you name it. We're posting new content every single day. Make sure you follow so you don't miss out on any of that. Plus, you can follow Doug and Tommy's personal Facebook pages on there. Dangerous Doug Gilbert. You can search that on Facebook. You can also search Tommy Wildfire Rich. They both have Facebook pages. And Doug does have an X page as well, and you can follow them there. But if you really want to help support, you can go to the Gilbert Family Pro Wrestling Tees store, which there's a link to there on the douggilbertpodcast.com. And you can find t-shirts of Doug, Eddie, and their famous father, Tommy Gilbert, as well. Also, Tommy Rich is going to be having some t-shirts coming up very soon. Follow him on Facebook. We'll be talking about him here. But look for some cool new Tommy Wildfire Rich t-shirts coming out soon that you can partake in as well. Also, if you've enjoyed the show, please subscribe, rate, and review the show on the platform of your choice. It would really help us in building up the podcast for the future. Plus, it helps us know what you like, what you don't like, where we need to take this podcast moving forward. Also, if you want to see a whole bunch of matches, promos, and angles, a lot of the ones that you're going to hear us talk about on this very podcast, you can go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@RetroWrestlingArchive. Of course, it's linked right there at douggilbertpodcast.com, and you will find a ton of matches featuring Eddie Gilbert, Tommy Gilbert, Doug Gilbert, Tommy Wildfire Rich. There's playlists of all them that feature hundreds of matches of each of them. So make sure you go check that out. And not just of them, there are thousands, literally, at this point, of videos from wrestling from across the territory days, you name it. If we don't have the video uploaded to our channel, we at least have organized you a playlist of just about every territory, every show that's out there. You can find it in one convenient location there on YouTube at the Retro Wrestling Archive. Plus, don't forget, you can find all things related to my popular retro wrestling review, USWA Podcast, at uswapodcast.com. And last but certainly not least, we are proud to be a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Go on over to WrestleCopia.com to check out all the great pro wrestling related podcasts and various content that our friend Ray Russell provides you. You'll be glad you did. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week for another episode of Dangerous Conversations with Dangerous Doug Gilbert and Tommy Wildfire Rich.
In the heart of Tennessee, born with pride, Doug and Tommy taking rings in stride. Memphis Legends never backing down. Wrestling warriors, they wear the crown. USWA glory in their veins. Fighting legends breaking chains. In the square circle they made their name. Podcast champions, it's their claim to fame. On the mic they roar, on the map they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans wanting more. Podcast kings ruling the waves. Memphis wrestling raising the stage. From title belts to Hall of Fame, Doug and Tommy carved the name. Fists of fury and hearts of gold. Every story, every fight retold. Tales of glory, laughter, crowd. Tennessee warriors with hearts open wide. In the ring or on the air, legends living without a care. On the mic they roar, on the mat they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans wanting more.